Family Guy is arguably one of the most popular TV shows of all time, especially within adult animation. Not best, mind you, but popular. Season 10 is so bad it may actually morph your body and bones into Brian the dog. Even with its faults, I and many others are still big fans of it, and you could see that in the community it's fostered online. Despite a large portion of Family Guy viewers being people who probably won't bother with fan communities, you don't understand just how many people online like Family Guy. It's not like Mario or Sonic though, where the communities are making fan art and fan games and cool, awesome animations. No, instead, Family Guy fans will make insane, scary fake out clips on TikTok, or videos about Chinese social credit, or deep dives into the degrading character of Joe Swanson. Family Guy has such a weird reputation online and among fans. Now, I'm not expecting people to make Brian Griffin platformers that'll rival the heavens themselves, but it's strange that whenever you see it mentioned, it's almost always a joke referencing the show, or at the show's expense. I mean, I get it. It's a zany animated adult comedy. It's not gonna have a ton of serious fan art, or a ton of serious videos, or a ton of serious fan games. Right? Those were the last words of the poor soul that made Five Nights in Pete's. Take a dive into Game Jolt, and by golly, can you find an influx of games based on Family Guy. It's actually impressive that practically none of the Sonic IDW characters have fan games, but Family Guy has this many. Granted, most of these games are jokes or aren't taken seriously. I can't speak on these ones though. God forbid a person PB glitch all over the place and not be taken seriously. And to my surprise, a pretty solid chunk of these fan games are scary ones. I mean, I am the horror fan game guy after all. I'm so well known for it that YouTube demonetized my entire channel, so you know I've got to check these out. I played a handful of ones from both Game Jolt and Itch.io, and honestly, most of them weren't too bad. It's a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games for the most part, but there was still some unique stuff in the mix. Still no Brian platformer though. I've picked out 3 distinct Family Guy horror games to take a look at here today. And when I say that these are some of the weirdest games I've ever talked about, I truly mean it. Remember not to be rude to anybody who made these games. We're talking about Family Guy horror games. This is as wacky as it gets. It's not serious. This is also the closest I'll ever get to making a logic video. Yes, I see the thousands of comments asking me to make one. Seth MacFarlane is the best I can do. I'm only human. Starting us off, created by Men9as, Five Nights in Pete's is your standard FNAF fan game. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, but in the universe of Family Guy. I only played the first one, but this is a whole ass trilogy in the making. I really want to know what this Spring Carter Pewterschmidt is all about. He just seems so perfect and beautiful. And while you may not be nearly as perfect as Spring Carter Pewterschmidt, Cheeky can definitely help you feel like it. Recently for Halloween, they released Sunday Scaries, which is like a vanilla ice cream scent that makes you smell not scary, and you could use code TOADBUP for 10% off of your soap order, and to also help support the channel at this time. Five Nights in Pete's has you playing as Glenn Quagmire working the night shift at Big Pete's House of Munch. A callback to that one episode where they had a restaurant. I think they were ableist as well. Watch these Griffin robots until 6 a.m. Don't get jump scared by Withered Brian or whoever the hell. And that's about the game. There's actually an opening cutscene with voice acting and everything. It's a very questionable Peter Griffin impression. I think they're using some sort of voice changer as well.
And I want permanent thing what I need for the restaurant.
But hey, at least it doesn't seem to be a straight AI generated voice, so I appreciate that. Anyways, nobody wants to work the night shift. Peter calls Glenn Quagmire to do it. Survive 6 nights. Five Nights in Pete's is structured very similarly to the first FNAF game. Each night for the most part introduces a new threat, with said threats being more and more aggressive with each night passing. 2 doors and lights that take power, a camera, and a Peter Griffin nose boop that moans at you. Speaking of Peter Griffin, this design is so f***ed. Why does he have a giant gaping mouth hole? And none of the other robots have a mouth like this. I'm not sure if it's interesting character design, or they just gave him the gaping griffin hole for no reason. Chrisbot and Megbot, or my bad, Megatronbot, act like Bonnie and Chica. Close the doors when they're in the doorway. Stewie is the Foxy equivalent here, where you have to keep an eye on him or else he'll run to your office. Except that he can go left or right, and also, in the later nights, he gets fucking pissed at you, so you better be watching him. Lois comes up to your left hallway, Peter comes up to the right, listen for their audio cues before closing the doors. And of course, how can I forget Withered Retep? We really have a Family Guy fan on our hands here. He scared the living daylights out of me the first time he appeared. Just flip your camera when he's in your office and you'll be fine. This game would be maybe slightly challenging if every single animatronic didn't have an audio cue. Every robot will make a noise before attacking or when at the door, which will indicate when to close the doors. This technically means that you don't have to turn on a single light the whole game, or even check the cameras if you're okay with Stewie just constantly bum rushing you. That, combined with the fact that I had so much power, led to a very easy FNAF experience. That also had Brian appear at the end. No, he was not difficult either, and yes, you get a fat check of 100 big ones at the end of night 5. Also, this has to be like the weirdest thing ever from Quagmire's point of view. His friend just opened a restaurant a few days ago, and now he's not only working for him, but fighting against robot duplicates of his friend's family, all the while fucking Dr. Disrespect is watching from the wall. Well, actually, I'm sure Quagmire doesn't mind that part.
It's hard to believe she's already 18.
This game is at its core a very simple FNAF fan game. I don't want to dog on the creator too much because it's clear that they had fun while making this. I mean, it's Five Nights at Chris Griffin. Of course you aren't taking that 100% seriously. If you want to play a decent version of FNAF with Family Guy characters and references, you can't go wrong with this game. I mean, there are secret cursors you can unlock, and an extras tab where you can watch jump scares. Guess that means I could see what I was missing out on. Next up, we've got Stewie Kills the Griffins by David Mills. I'm actually familiar with David's work. He made that Simpsons parody of Little Nightmares, along with a whole series of these blank kills the blank games, based on adult animated shows. Of course, the one with a thumbnail like this was the one to get my attention. I'm sure this one appeals to more people, but hey, what can I say? I'm a Family Guy. Stewie frickin' unalives the Griffins is exactly what it sounds like. It's a game where you play as Stewie, murdering the rest of the Griffin household. I don't exactly know why there's different versions for both widescreen and windowed, but thanks, I think. Booting up the game and, oh goodness, yeah, that's a 3D model, alright. It's not the prettiest game out there. It gives the vibes of an early PS2 licensed game, and Family Guy would never look like that. But I'm fairly sure that the creator made all of these models himself, at least he didn't say otherwise, so I can't be too harsh. What I can be harsh on is the hand model in this game. Why are Stewie's arms trapped in 144p? The main objective is simple: gather weapons to take out the rest of the family. You can get an assortment of firearms from Stewie's room, but there's also knives, brooms, and axe. Plenty of options. I recommend against using the RPG though. Once your arsenal is ready, go nuts on these guys. Brian's in the bedroom doing, this. And then Chris is in his bedroom doing, oh my god, dude. That's not even like a funny, well-known bit or anything from Family Guy. That's just a screen grab of a character who happens to be in her bra. Yeah, this game and the creator's other works are all pretty sexual. I mean, I get it, it's a Family Guy game, violence in movies and sex on TV, but it gets to a point. The first thing I saw when I opened this game was a bare woman's ass. I'm not here for ass, I'm here for a fun time with my favorite TV family. I don't actually care if you make games like this. Make all of the freaky Family Guy games that you want. Just make it a goddamn Brian platformer. The kills are really where the gameplay lies, since you have so many ways to do it. You can shoot them, stab them, light off a nuclear bomb. It's pretty simple. The environment is also destroyable to a certain degree. I absolutely love when games do that. After you take care of the dirty work, none other than Joe Swanson appears at your door and you get into a shoot-off. I don't think it's possible to win this, as I tried like 5 times, but I still like that it occurs. Stewie wakes up from the simulation, talks to dog Brian, and the game is over. No wonder the game had so much butt in it, cause it was butt. Nah, I'm joking, it was alright. As a fun little distraction themed around Family Guy, this game was alright. It reminds me a bit of those old Whack Your Boss games, where you could just choose a certain way to kill a person, except that Stewie Kills the Griffins is 3D, and Lois has planet-level durability for some reason. I have no clue what David's other games entail, but I like that he's making fan games for shows that normally wouldn't have fan games. Even if they are all little time wasters, I still rock with it. What I do not rock with is the last game on this list. This game was kinda short, but it made up for it in the years it took off my life. This game has content I probably can't show on YouTube, was made in Scratch, and was probably the best game out of the 3. And that game is titled Whatever Happened to Peter L. Griffin. Well, I could tell you what happened to him, I was just there. Created by CFMCA earlier this year, Whatever Happened to Peter L. Griffin is yet another FNAF fan game featuring the lovable sweethearts. Except, they aren't so lovable anymore. This game is just one enormous post inspired by a Simpsons game that did the same thing. There are 7 levels, each more sick and twisted than the last. The story goes that you are Brian, or at least Brian if he was turned into a giant foot, and you've got to survive a nightmarish onslaught of Peter and pals. This is definitely a more interesting FNAF game than Five Nights in Pete's, simply because there's just so much going on here. Besides 3 rooms that you gotta cycle through, you're equipped with a smartphone. There's all sorts of apps that you can use for various threats that'll appear, and it does start pretty simple, with only Peter, Lois, and Meg coming to attack. But as the nights go on, there's like 50 of these fuckers coming to tear you a new Griffin hole. Each character has a unique mechanic, and some of these mechanics are annoying as hell. Meg's is super simple, right? Just click on her until she disappears. But Peter took goddamn forever to figure out how to stop him. You need to be keeping an eye on a TikTok feed watching Family Guy clips, and according to the instructions, you need to pay attention to him. I tried liking the clips, scrolling super fast, staying on screen when his picture fades in. Literally nothing worked. What I ended up doing was just spamming the report button, and that seemed to do the trick. One of the biggest issues of this game is that there isn't like a concrete instructional page or anything like that, but instead, before a level starts, they'll tell you what one of the new threats can do. One of them. So if you want to see those instructions again, you better hope you get the right one when you start up the level. Other antagonists include Chris, whose game high score you have to beat. Stewie has you dodging cars so that you don't bleed out all over the screen. Quagmire is using his verified X account to spread misinformation. And not to mention the ghost of Seth MacFarlane haunting your living room. He's dead in this universe because in a cutscene from 24 years ago, he wakes up for his flight, which he did not miss. Dude! Yeah, I don't know if I could show that one to you guys, so go see my playthrough on Patreon if you're dying to see what this is like. I think the worst part of this game, though, is the engine that it was made on, Scratch. Honestly, for a game made in Scratch, this is really well made. I feel like I've never seen this level of intricacies in something made with Scratch. Clearly the dev knew what they were doing. But sometimes Scratch will just not function. I got stuck in Block Blast a few times. I'd accidentally swipe up from my phone when on TikTok all the time. But with all that being said, I actually had fun with this one. It was really overwhelming and confusing at first, but once I got the hang of it, I really liked all of the different mechanics and the chaos of it all. The humor itself was alright. I chuckled at a few things, and this probably was the funniest game out of the 3, but it wasn't anything that crazy. If anything, I was mostly in awe that this was a thing that existed. I don't even know what happened in the ending. They basically just redid the whole FNAF 4 I will put you back together thing, but with Brian. I thought that sly bastard was in that game. I mean, everybody remembers the famous Markiplier clip.
First night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
Whoa, ass ahoy.
And that about wraps up my thoughts on whatever happened to Peter L. Griffin. I feel so hollow. Family Guy doesn't really lend itself too well to the idea of a serious horror game, so I kind of already knew what I was getting into. A lot of these games run off the novelty of being a Family Guy horror game, and that's really it. So that's why I'm glad that there were some aspects to this game that not only showed the devs cared, but were actually enjoyable. They may have been making goofy gag games, but they were making a goofy gag game for Family Guy fans, or FNAF fans, or people without functioning organs. I always love playing fan games in general because of that reason. They make them for fun. From Mario and Sonic to something as dumb as Family Guy. I wrote Mega Man in the script. Why would I write Mega Man as dumb? I wouldn't do that. Someone liked this property enough to take the time out of their lives to make these games for free. Regardless of quality, that is so commendable. Thank you for bringing more free entertainment to those who seek it. Although, you should have to pay a fine if you were playing this one. Man, those games remind me of the time I was inside of Scratch. This is no way to live.
Getting fit and funky is that your desire? Get down and boogie till you catch fire. Dance and shake the soul and makes you feel alive. Shakes up your